Welcome, everybody, to the Competition Archery Media Podcast, where we explore all things pertaining to competition archery. I'm your host, PJ Riley, and our Competition Archery Media Podcast is brought to you by our fine platinum sponsors, PSE, True Ball Excel, Matthews, Black Eagle, Elite, B3 Archery, and Victory Archery. And now, sitting here, we're in Yankton, South Dakota, and next to me is PSE Pro Sharon Wallace. Sharon, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I guess we should start off with that you had a pretty good round this morning.
I did. I missed 1X. I was very, very happy with that because everyone knows that I'm more into 3D than indoor. And I haven't shot this Indoor Nationals in a couple years. So to come here and be able to do that first round, I'm pretty happy with that.
Right. I guess I should mention we're at the 2021 NFAA Indoor Nationals here in Yankton, South Dakota. Today was the first round. So how did you feel through the round? Did you get nervous or taking a break like that? Did that bother you?
Well, of course, when they say first round, you start getting that adrenaline, a little bit of nerves. So I had to settle in, the first or second round, and then I got into my groove and I was doing really well. And after the fifth end, they said, let's take a 5-minute break. And it was kind of in my groove, and I was going and came back, and I ended up missing 1X. But after that, I stayed clean, and so I shot 59. Nice. And I actually didn't even know we were done. I'm back up on the line, ready to go again. And they said, end's over.
We're finished.
We're done. So I guess that's good for mindset. So I was ready to go.
So after this morning's round, you're tied for first with Toya Ellison.
Yes.
The two of you shot 59s.
Mm-hmm.
The other ladies did not shoot that. So going into tomorrow, what do you do? What's your
Exactly
mindset?
The same thing. I'm just going to take my time, one shot at a time, and just hope I get in that mentality again like I did this morning and just keep going.
Yeah. And now, as you said, people probably recognize you more from 3D. You've got multiple ASA Shooter of the Years, IBO titles. But you are an accomplished indoor. You have some pretty good finishes. Run down some of those finishes that you've had indoors.
Yeah, Lancaster, I've taken fourth twice, so I got to go on the big stage that everybody's scared about. And in Vegas, I had a second. That was amazing.
Wow,
amazing feeling.
And
Indoor Nationals, I've taken two fourths as well, and then I've kind of taken a break from indoor, just the Indoor Nationals, because it was so close to some of our 3D.
Yeah.
But we had a 3D shoot that was rescheduled for August. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go play indoor and see how I do. So I'm glad I did.
Nice. Yeah. And you're going to shoot Vegas as well.
I'm really hoping to. I want to. But there's Spring Nationals IBO before Vegas,
gotcha.
And then there's Paris, Texas.
Yeah.
Everyone knows how much I love that shoot, and that's right after Vegas. So I'm still up in the air with Vegas yet.
Yeah. But 3D, that's your sweet spot.
That's my game. Yeah.
So that was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. As I mentioned, I'd heard at the Foley, the last ASA, that you didn't start shooting competitively until 30.
That's correct.
And I hate to ask this, but you're how old now?
I'm actually 48.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So starting at 30, that interested me greatly because I'm thinking probably a lot of women like yourself are thinking, I have to, to do what she does, I have to have been shooting since I was 12. Mm-hmm. But you didn't.
Mm-mm.
Tell us how that came about.
When I was 24, I actually wanted to learn how to hunt with a bow. My mom and dad always hunted, but with guns. So the person I was with at the time was a big avid bow hunter, and I said, I really want to learn how to do that. So I did, and I was 24 when I did that, and then a few years later, people started telling us, you can do that for fun. It's a hobby. And I was like, oh, well, that'd be fun to go shoot some 3D targets just for fun. And so I did that for a couple years, and then someone told me about an ASA event, and it was in Gainesville, Florida, and I'll never forget it. There was thousands of people there, and I was just overwhelmed, and I was seeing people like Ginger Moorhead and Sherry Hott and Connie Griffin. These were all the ladies that were shooting when I started as an amateur. So when people told me you could shoot as a professional and make money, I was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I absolutely want to become a professional shooter.
Now, legit, before that, you didn't even know that existed.
No, not at all.
No idea.
No.
How about that?
So I actually had a 20-acre horse farm, and I made a decision to sell it.
Yeah.
And start shooting professional archery.
Wow. That had to be, I would imagine that was a monumental thing for you. Because my sister's into horses, and I don't know what it would have to happen to get her away from her horses.
It was extremely hard. I miss horses all the time. And I have told Jack, I said, one day I will have another horse, just not right now because we travel too much.
Right,
but
right.
I'm glad I made the decision. I absolutely love this game. Love it.
Yeah. So tell me about, like, how that was for you. Like you said, you went to Gainesville, and there were thousands of people there. Like, how do you get over that, like the enormity of it, that here I am, I'm coming out, I'm shooting with the Ginger Moorheads, you know, these people like that. How do you get past that to get to your level? Because obviously you didn't go and win your first event.
No, and I started as women's bow hunter. So I started in the 30-yard class, and I did that for 2 years. Then women's open was 40 yards or less, and then did that for 2 years. And I said if someone picked me up that I would move to the pro class, because there was only 3 classes when I started.
Is that right?
And they were all unknown.
Yeah.
So I moved up. Hoyt took me on, and I was shooting with Alicia McHenry and Susan Davis and Linda. I can't remember her last name, but they all took me in and welcomed me with open arms. And of course, my first year, I was shooting everything for 50. I was like, you know, but it was intimidating. It was, but they made me feel right at home, and I felt really welcomed. It was fun.
Then, so I'm guessing you probably took, I mean, there's the tournaments, but then you probably took a lot of that home and worked on your game there, judging, shooting, all of that. I'm guessing that takes a certain level of motivation on your part, because obviously it's easier to.
Yeah, when I started shooting with these girls professionally, I was like, you're going to have to practice, and you're going to have to practice hard. I mean, this is a whole nother game moving up to the pro class. And the first year, I just took it as a learning experience. And I just took all the info that they gave me, and I put it to work. And within 2 years, started making the shoot downs, and then started winning. And it just kept going from there. And I just kept working harder and harder, and it just paid off.
Do you remember what your first shoot down was?
My first shoot down, I believe, was in Gainesville, and I was shooting a Hoyt, I believe. Yeah.
Now, I have no idea what that experience is like, but I know for the shoot downs, now I'm not even competing in them, and I'm nervous before them. What's that first one like?
I remember this one particularly because I think I was in 5th, and my very first target was a brown bear, and I was so nervous that I made a horrible shot and hit the 14. And everybody's like, yeah, and I'm like, I didn't do that on purpose. And they're like, no, you're not supposed to do that. So very, very nervous. You just hope that you don't miss and that you don't choke. And it was, but the more you do it, the better you would get. I mean, I still get out there and I still get the adrenaline going and a little bit of nerves, but I can control them now. I know how to control them. But that first one, I was a mess. I was like, just hit the target.
That's a good way to go, though. If you're gonna, that's a bad shot. Hey, it's
I couldn't believe it. They said 14. I was like, oh my goodness.
So is that part? So going out onto the shoot down stage, is that something you just have to do? I mean, is there any way you can prepare for that other than doing it?
You don't want to think too much about it, because then that's what gets the nerves going and gets you. You just need to do what you know what to do. Like if you practice at home, you shoot every day, you know what to do. So just judge, stay focused, make a good, strong shot, and you should be there every time. But if you overthink it, then the nerves are going to start rolling. Then you're going to start overthinking everything. So you just stick to your game plan, and it'll work.
Now, with your getting to this level where you are now, when you were just starting out, did you have any idea that this is what life was going to be like.
No. No, I really did. I did not expect to be where I am today, and I feel extremely blessed where I am today. I thought maybe I'd do it for a few years, and if it didn't pan out, then something else would, I always loved animals, so I thought maybe veterinary school, but I never would have dreamed in a million years I'd be here where I'm at now.
Doing that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you tell someone, another lady who's thinking about it? Because one of the things that strikes me about ASA is that environment that you described. Whether you're going to do it professionally or not, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's a great atmosphere. If you got families, it's great for that. If you don't, it's just a great atmosphere.
Yes.
I guess is the best word. So what would you tell someone who is thinking of going pro, but they're intimidated by that, or they're worried they won't fit in, or how do you get them to get over that hump?
It's hard for people that move up at first because they are intimidated, because they see us as a different person. They see us as like a star, and
Right.
we're really not like that at all. We're just out there to have a good time and try and put up good scores and do what we do. But we had a couple of girls move up this year that were extremely nervous and extremely felt intimidated. And we just tell them, listen, take it as a learning experience. Don't expect too much your first year because it's going to be hard.
Right.
It's going to be longer distance. And usually if they take it for a learning experience and learn and take it home and try and come up with a game plan and work through it, then they will succeed. They will do better. Yeah.
How much time would you say you spend on judging?
On judging, usually what I was doing, like if indoor and 3D, I do an indoor round first in the morning. And then about 1 o'clock, Jack and I will do a 20 round and judge and shoot. And if we can't shoot because of weather, we will be out there with the rangefinder and we will judge at least 20. So we're at least judging if we can't shoot.
Every day?
Every single day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I imagine that takes some motivation as well. It's got to be some days where whatever your job is, you're like, I don't feel like it today.
I do not like judging. If I'm out there, I want to shoot my bow and judge. So I have to sometimes make myself get up, go judge in the rain, or if it's too windy, at least go judge, because that is what will help you in the 3D game. Judging.
Right.
Yeah.
And what is your judging style? What do you do? What's the process?
I will look at the animal first and try and come up with a quick number. And then I will try and find my 30. Usually find my 30 base, and then I'll go from there. Can I add 10 more? Can I add 10 more? But usually I go immediately to my 30 and then work from there. And then I'll look at the animal again and see if, looking at him and the ground, if I'm coming up with a good, decent number. And then sometimes I'll be like 41 here and 43 here. If that's the case, I'll take 42 and aim at it. So that's my judging.
That's the thing that I'm learning more talking to folks in the pro classes, the women's pro and the men's open pro and the senior pro, is the strategy. It's taken me a while to absorb the fact that you don't have to even aim for every 12. Mm-hmm. Like I believe you said the javelina is
Javelina.
That's
dear old javelina.
And so you have a plan for the javelina.
Yeah.
Tell us what that is.
Actually, before I met Jack, I always aimed center 10 and just hoped that it fell into the 12. And then when we got together, he's like, well, what's your game plan? I'm like, aim in the middle. And he said, no, that really doesn't work. You really need to have a game plan on this. So he would, we'd basically judge it and add 1 or add 1.5, depending on the yardage. And we had come to the conclusion that with the javelina, I always hit low, no matter what yardage.
No matter what.
So I have to add 3 yards, no matter what, and aim at the 12 for me to stay a 10 or higher. I've shot multiple 5s on that thing with the right yardage, and
No
it just
kidding.
doesn't work. I have to add yardage to hit him. Yeah.
And I'm sure you spend a lot of time shooting it, and it's still the Achilles heel.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I put a lot more yardage on him, so I have more confident making that shot. So if I have a little whoopsie, I have that built-in yardage.
Right.
Yeah.
So even with that awful Wolverine that came in, Still the javelina.
Still the javelina. I don't care for the Wolverine, but the javelina is still my nemesis.
Do you think there's a mental block there too?
It might be, because he's always been a problem. So sometimes I'll get up there knowing that I have more than enough on him and start thinking about it too much. And if you don't make a strong shot on a long, it's going to look ugly.
What do you do when you step up to a shoot down and there's no javelina on the field?
Pretty happy. Pretty happy. But he's usually in the shoot down.
They know.
They Put it out there. Sharon loves that thing.
So, going through a weekend then. Okay, so you start out, maybe your numbers are a little bit off. How do you change your plan through a weekend? I mean, obviously it depends on what's happening, but let's say you're falling behind. What do you do then to be more aggressive, knowing I need 12s? 10s aren't cutting it.
I don't really go full more aggressive because I'm already aiming at the 12. Okay. Say I'm overjudging, like about a yard. I'm over the 12 yard. So I will actually maybe take a half a yard off and still aim at the 12 and hoping that maybe I'll catch the 12. Or if I'm underjudging, maybe add half a yard to a yard. So it depends on, am I overjudging, am I underjudging? But usually I am always aiming at the 12 no matter what.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, do you wear contacts?
I do.
Have you found that to affect your judging at all?
Not at all.
No,
mine is just for distance alone. It's not the progressive where you have to worry about distance or the short and distance. It is for distance only, and I have a magnifying glass to set my sight. So,
of course.
I love the contacts way more than using the glasses because the glasses don't fog up anymore.
Right.
You don't have to worry about rain. I had a tremendous amount of glare in Kentucky. Everyone loves Kentucky.
Yeah.
That has gone down like 80% because of using contacts now. Yeah. So I will not go back to glasses. No way. And
do you then have a clarifier and a magnification
I
lens?
have a 6-power lens, and I have a Hamsky Feather Vision B.
Okay.
So that's a number 2.
And what's your sight picture look like to you? Pin clear and target clear?
Pin clear, target clear. I can see the 10 ring usually all the way to 50 yards. Sometimes I can pick out the 12 if the sun's on it. Like I can see it. I'm reaching out and touching that target. Yeah. So, and I don't have a ton of movement, so it doesn't bother me. So I use the same thing on indoors, 6 and a 2.
And you're, I believe, shooting the same. You're shooting a 3D bow here for Indoor Nationals.
It's actually an indoor bow, but it's set up like my 3D.
Okay.
Usually for 3D, I'll pull 54 and a half. We actually have this one set up at 53, and I used to shoot like 51 and a half, 52.
Yeah.
So we decided this year, because I'm well conditioned this year, so he's like, why don't we just keep it close to your 3D, so then when you're going back and forth between the two, it won't be such a big difference.
Yeah.
And we just switched the arrows out.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yes, fitness. Jack told me. I think the 2 times that we talked, that's where you were. You were at the gym both times. He said, she's at the gym. She goes to the gym. So you work that in. Tell me about, are there things you work on specifically with your fitness for archery? I
do. It's usually a lot of upper, a lot of core. Your core, especially for IBO, the uphill, the downhill, you have to have a really, really strong core. But I do usually the whole body. I'll do the legs and the shoulders and the back, good back muscles. But really, a lot of it's your core.
Yeah.
And cardio for your heart rate.
Or what?
I'll do the elliptical, and I'll also run on the treadmill.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Was that something that you had been doing? You had always been doing, or something you started doing after you started getting
I've
better?
always been in the gym, but now there's a little bit more different things that I do because of archery, like the shoulders, the back muscles, the core a lot. But I've always been 6 days a week in the gym. It's a good stress relief for me. I love the gym.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I need to find out how that can work for me. not. I need to get into that, as my wife reminds me often. So, with what's out there for you yet? Obviously, you want to win Indoor Nationals this weekend.
Oh,
but
of course.
what are your archery goals? What do you have in mind? You know.
I would love a lot of people. This would probably shock a lot of people, but I would love to win Vegas. I would really, even though it's indoor,
Yeah.
that is one I would really, really like to win. And of course, everyone would love to win every single one. But it's like last year, I won the National Triple Crown and Shooter of the Year in the Classic,
Right.
and that right there is anybody's dream goal to do. So, yeah, I'd have to say Vegas is
Vegas.
definitely one of the one, and I'd always love to win the Classic or Shooter of the Year. Everybody would love to win Shooter of the Year, Triple
Yeah, you
Crown.
doubled up last year.
Yeah,
Classic
I
and
was-
Shooter of the Year, same event.
Yeah, so that's always a goal to strive for every year. So that's something I would love to do.
Yeah. The Shooter of the Year, whenever I talk to the pros, that it I don't know. I guess since I haven't been in your shoes in that position, but you folks really put emphasis on that. Like Shooter of the Year that's like the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What is it about that? Is it just because it's the whole season, or what is it about that is so special?
I think it is because of your full season, how well you've done. So a lot of people, when they win Shooter of the Year, I think they see that as a huge accomplishment. I did that. Like, I stayed very consistent through the year, and I was able to keep together to win that Shooter of the Year.
Yeah.
And I think that's why everybody wants that title.
That is amazing, because you would think over the course of 6 tournaments, typical ASA, of course you get to drop one. You would think, just 2 bad days. It just wasn't today. But you can't do that. And especially with your class, Kaylee, Cara, Emily, there's so many good shooters right
Yes.
there that they're doing the same things, judging, shooting, all that. They want that title too.
Yeah, they all want it. These girls are hungry, and they're always coming after you, and they're very, very strong competitors. And I love shooting with them because they always they make me want to even do better. So
Right.
having good competitors that are just want it as bad as I do, it's really fun to shoot with them because I think we push each other more and more, and that's why I
Right.
really like it. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so last year, I believe, was the first year both you and Jack were with PSE, same bow company.
Yes.
Why is that important? Looking at it from the outside, I would think, so what?
That's a hard one to answer because I was with Matthews for a really long. I think it was like 13 years, and I think we're stronger as a couple being on the same team, and we're working on the exact same equipment and everything. I don't have to worry about, okay, the Matthews bow's over here with this stuff, and now I have to work on his stuff, PSE.
Yeah.
I just think we're better as a power couple on the same team.
Gotcha.
That's what I truly believe on that.
And which bow are you shooting?
I'm shooting the Super Focus,
Okay.
the 37 with the EM cam.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, let's run through your setup there. You said you pull 54 for 3D.
Mm-hmm.
What's your let-off set at?
It's set off at, I think it's 70. I don't
On
quote
the low
me.
end.
I think it's yeah.
In other words, it's not peaked out.
No,
at
it's
the
not like the
highest.
80 or where
Yeah,
you just.
yeah.
I want to hold something back here because I have a very aggressive shot. Like you can see when I start pulling through.
Yeah.
You can see the cams just starting to really. And I'm holding probably, I think it's 17.
And you shoot which release?
I shoot the Perfects
Okay.
by
Stanford
stand,
Effects.
and I have the XL sight from True Ball XL sights, and then Black Eagle PS23s for 3D for ASA, and then I shoot Zombie Slayers for IBO, and then I have the PS26s for indoor. Tack vanes on all of them, and then I know I'm missing some Conquest stabilizers.
Gotcha.
And the Hamsky Peep with the Trinity Rest.
And now you're with your trigger, your thumb trigger. How are you activating that? You mentioned you're pulling.
Yeah, I'm not a puncher.
Is it set super heavy?
It is set super heavy, and
Okay.
I will completely wrap my thumb around it, and I will just use that shoulder blade, put my elbow in my back pocket, and I'll shoot it like a hinge and just pull through.
Okay. Do you have any archery issues, physical, like every now and then you have shoulder problems or elbow? What's your...
Surprisingly, when I learned how to shoot a bow, or not, I'm sorry, not shoot a competition, when I was 30, I got thrown from a horse and broke my collarbone. And it did not heal correctly, so...
It's like a theme in your class.
I know. It's just like, and it's terrible, but there's a little bit of issues there. And then I did, a couple years ago, I started having a little bit of issues in the shoulder. Finally got that taken care of. I'm not having to wear tape anymore. I was wearing tape for like 3 years, and it was bothering me. But I think pulling the TRX-7 I was pulling 57 pounds, and that was a lot. That was a lot for me. So down to 54 now, where it's not hurting me, and knock on wood, I'm doing pretty good now with the shoulders.
And so even at 54, you can still keep your speed up to high 280s?
Yeah, 54 pounds, and I'm at 285.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so I have no problem getting the speed.
What point weight? What's
80 grains.
Okay, you do shoot light. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so that's another episode of the Competition Archery Media Podcast. Sharon Wallace, we appreciate your time today, and we certainly wish you the best tomorrow as you finish out your Indoor Nationals round.
Yeah, again, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it, and I'm hoping for a good day tomorrow, too.
Absolutely. Folks, you can find the Competition Archery Media Podcast on the platforms where you find all your favorite podcasts. Thanks for joining us.